The Open Source Creative Podcast, episode 52, Nodevember, with Jonas Dichelle and Luca Rood. I'm hopeful that eventually I'm going to get name pronunciation right, but whatever. In any case, this is the Open Source Creative Podcast, a podcast where I ramble on about creativity, process, and open source software. I'm Jason Van Gumster, your host and driver on the road to creative freedom. This time around, we're talking with Jonas Dichelle and Luca Rood from the Nodevember event. What's Nodevember? Well, Nodevember. We have to have that pause in there. So what is it? It's an event that highlights the use of node-based logic for making creative things. So nodes, in case you've never played with them, which you totally should because they're kind of awesome, they're like a means of visual programming, and they're used in all manner of creative programs and applications to make really cool procedural things, right? They're from shaders for 3D graphics to actual geometry for 3D to audio applications will use nodes to all sorts of really even like straight up software development can also use node-based logic. Like I said, visual programming. There's a lot of really cool things that can be done with it. And so Nodevember really highlights that. And Jonas and Luca talk about how the event was born and where they're going with it and what people are actually doing for the event. So that's what our conversation is really all about. And it's super exciting. It's I had a lot of fun talking to them about that. I will say that if you are watching this episode in video form, like last show, you might notice that it's showing a tile view of the three of us talking as opposed to switching when one of it to a full screen view of whoever's talking at that moment. And I've got mixed feelings about it. I'm really not sure if it's because I've misconfigured something in Jitsi or if it's because of a change that Jitsi folks have actually made with respect to recording. I need to sort of dig into that and figure out what's going on. I kind of prefer the full screen thing with auto switching, even if Jitsi sometimes forgets who's talking and has the wrong person highlighted. I kind of still prefer it, but I mean, I'm obviously on this side of the camera. So for you who are watching it, what's your preference? Do you prefer all of us at the same time, being able to see us all at the same time, or would you prefer to switch to full screen? I need to figure out why, just for my own edification, why it's doing that. But for anyone curious, please let me know what you think, and we'll check it out from there and see what I can get to work, whatever our preferences end up being there. On another note, you may also hear something high pitched in the background during the episode. That was my 7-year-old son singing while he played video games. He's having a lot of fun and really enjoying himself. And well, I mean, you can't really stop somebody from having fun, right? I mean, you can, but that would just be mean. In any case, yeah, that's where that is. And just to cover all the bases here, I don't have any sponsors or subscription things for the podcast. It's just me doing what I do, but I do pay for my own hosting and the time to produce the actual show. So if you like it and you want to help me cover those costs, I do write books and have some little bits of merch for sale on opensourcecreative.org. Just jump over to the resources menu and on opensourcecreative.org and see if anything there appeals to you. All right. I think that's enough of that. Let's get to the interview.
Oh, we're going to toast marshmallows, are we?
Could be. Better.
All right, hey everyone. This is a podcast. We're recording now. I am here with the guys from Nodevember, and because the history of this so far with me doing interviews, I've realized that my ability to pronounce names is just not really there. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves. Who wants to go first?
Luca.
No, you go ahead.
No, I want to hear you first so I can.
All right. Well, I'm Luca Rood. I am a software developer, graphical software developer, and technical VFX artist. And I am not the inventor of Nodevember. That would be the other guy. And but I am a co-organizer of Nodevember. Oh, I guess that's basically me.
Yeah, I'm Jonas Dichelle, and I'm what am I? I guess a 3D artist and programmer, I guess is what I do. And yeah, I'm also a co-creator of Nodevember. I guess I did come up with the idea, but Luca and I pretty much worked on all the aspects of the organization along the way together.
Yeah, we'll talk about the story of Nodevember as we go on, because it's not even really a year old, and it still had this fun roller coaster of a history. But first, maybe it's worth it to explain to everybody listening what Nodevember actually is.
Yeah, so Nodevember is a yearly, monthly or yearly month-long event, kind of like Inktober, if you're familiar with that. So every day you have a prompt that you have to complete, and with Nodevember, you're supposed to do the prompts with nodes. So in whatever program you want to use, procedural nodes. Yeah, like I don't know how to explain. Like, should we explain nodes or what procedural stuff is?
So let me see if I can sum it up, and then you guys can correct me on the things that I get wrong. We'll try that.
All right.
So it is predominantly in 3D software interface. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but this is born in 3D, and specifically was born from within the Blender community. But as Jonas said, we can use any sort of software that you want. But the idea here is that you use the tools, the node-based tools and nodes. So if you're familiar with, say, a lot of image processing software, most of that tends to be stack based, where this leads into that, and one stack processes the next things in a row, layers, right? But a node based thing tends to be able to feed multiple things into multiple sockets and then reprocess it and do all sorts of crazy things with it and shenanigans. And for the most part, especially when it relates to Blender, when we talk about Nodevember, we're specifically referring mostly to shader nodes, not necessarily geometry nodes or anything like that, correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what it kind of started off as. That's what we were thinking of in the beginning, because there was sort of a movement of people starting to create really crazy stuff using just shader nodes. And so that's kind of where that came from. It would be cool to kind of spur that on and have people create them in an organized fashion, sort of. But yeah, no, any type of procedural creation can be done in nodes. I mean, nodes basically are kind of like visual programming. So if you've seen like visual programming languages where one thing goes into another and the logic is sort of formed visually, that's the way that sort of works. So that can be used with like for geometry too. And in Blender, you have like animation nodes and sphere chuck. But with other software, you have it for simulations too, like in Houdini. And so, yeah, I mean, nodes can really be used for anything. And yeah. I don't know if
actually the visual programming metaphor actually makes a lot of sense, because it's you have an input, you route it through some kind of processing thing of some point, and then you have an output. Actually, come to think of it, processing is node based, which is processing is another piece of software, in case anybody didn't know that. Processing is node based, and technically you could use processing for Nodevember, come to think of
Absolutely.
it. Which, if anybody's interested in doing that, do it. So that's what Nodevember is, and actually, I am for the people who are audio only. You're gonna be sad for a second, because I'm gonna do a little bit of screen sharing goodness here. This is just hopefully folks can see my screen if you're looking at the video part of this, but I'm just, as we're talking a little bit, I'm going to scroll through the Nodevember hashtag on Twitter just to show some of the stuff that folks are doing. And once it loads up, because internet is super fast here apparently, but you have different things that start very simply, and you have geometry doing things that geometry, if you have something that starts off as a sphere like that, and it turns into a set of grapes, that's done with just shade. In this case, I think, this is just Blender shaders.
Yep.
And there's some really, really interesting and cool things that show up. And the fact that people are showing this is what it starts with and this is what it rolls into for each of these different material nodes and whatnot is really pretty exciting. And Yeah, so I'm gonna switch away from this again because it was just fun to talk about. But so as let's see, stop sharing. Haha, I stopped sharing. Yay! But so that's the results of what you can get from Nodevember, and that's how you can go about the process of using nodes to make cool and interesting things. How did this start?
Yeah, so the whole thing started last year at the Blender conference, and oh yeah, right. So Luca, who else was there? It was
AD and
Thomas.
Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah,
Solutions.
Yeah. Yeah, we were sitting one evening. We were sitting at the hostel in the lobby, and I don't know who had the idea, but someone pointed out that on the floor there was what's the pattern called?
The herringbone tiling.
So it says
pattern. Yeah.
So that turned into, let's see who can recreate that the quickest with shaders. So Luca and I took out our laptops and started trying to recreate it, and I lost.
But it looked cool.
But my result looked kind of cool though. I don't think I ever created the tiling, but I had something that looked pretty cool. And so then I think the next day or so, I came up to everyone and was like, "So do you know nodes? Do you know November, the month? What about Nodevember?" So I went around annoying everyone with that idea, and got Luca to come around and annoy everyone with me. And
just give everyone sort of context. This is happening at the Blender conference, which happens at the last weekend of October, which is just at the end of Inktober, which has been going on for years and years and years and years. And so everybody has this sort of creative month name thing tied into that. And this is just kind of the things that happen, especially at Blender conference, but conferences in general, where it's all fun and games until somebody breaks out a laptop and then everybody's doing some sort of crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. When we were at the hostel, there were only 2 laptops. I didn't have my laptop with me. So I think Thomas lent me his laptop, and Jonas had his own laptop. So we were sitting there, and it was great fun. So we thought, why not just do nodes for a whole month with everyone? And yeah. And the Nodevember thing was nice because, yeah, indeed, the next day, Jonas went around talking with everyone about that, with a very, very long pause between Node and Vember. So
for dramatic effect, so everyone would understand what I was talking about.
You'd need to wait for a long time to hear what he's talking about.
It's Nodevember.
And yeah, and then after that then the next day at lunch, Jonas took out his phone and bought the domain immediately.
You can never be too safe with that. You don't know who's going to steal it from you.
Yeah, especially if you're telling everyone about this great idea. If someone will just go and
you don't know who's listening.
Yeah. So yeah, and then we got started on organizing the thing, making graphics and coming up with the prompts and building the website in 3 days, because it was 3 days before the start of November. So we didn't have much time, and well, yeah, it was actually kind of crazy. We didn't, after we organized the whole thing, we couldn't believe what we had done in 3 days, because in 3 days we had like over 1,000 followers on Twitter, and the website was up, and all the prompts were launched, and it was already like exploding before it even started.
I remember being in on there's a whole string of like Twitter group DMs that was like, holy crap, we got more. There's more people. All right, well, this is serious. And then people started dumping stuff into there, and that was really, really fun to watch. Of course, it turns out that this kind of was a sort of a zeitgeisty moment, because you guys weren't the only ones that were thinking about Nodevember, were you?
Oh
No.
no.
So that was interesting because when I bought the domain at the restaurant during lunch, we actually Googled Nodevember to see what came up, and as far as we could find, there'd only been one thing that was called Nodevember before, and it was a Node.js conference, and so we thought it had never been done before, and it was this really cool, unique idea. But then right before. It was our unique idea, and as far as we could see, it had never been done before. But then, right before November started, Substance posted a prompt list also with the hashtag Nodevember. So right, yeah. So it turns out that the year before that, someone what's his name?
Josh Lynch
had posted a couple of node-based artworks, I think, with the hashtag Nodevember, and then came together with Substance to create that event. But after we had posted our prompt list, if I recall correctly. so there was a little confusion there, and then throughout the month, a lot of people were a little confused sometimes about which prompt list was the official one, and
they both were from different entities, I guess, in a way. So yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, ours kind of ended up having the most submissions and ending up being sort of the official one, I guess, because I guess we had the account and all the branding for the event.
And we had all the power of the Blender community behind it, which is just huge.
Yeah,
I remember watching the hashtag, and there'd be like a Substance thing here and there, a Substance thing there, and then just this flood of Blender content that just went in. It's like, oh well, that's the prompt list then.
Yeah.
No, and the thing is that even a lot of Substance people were doing our prompt list, even though they were using Substance. So
Right.
that was interesting.
And yeah, from the beginning, we never said that it was a Blender event. We always said that you could use whatever procedural software you want to use. So yeah, we were always open to people with different software, whether that be Substance or Houdini or Maya, I guess.
We had one Maya entry.
We did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, or AutoCAD, I guess.
I don't think that's node-based, actually.
I don't think. I mean, you could do some really janky stuff with DXF files to make them, but no, you don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to a processing industry. Somebody should be doing that.
Yeah, no, and this year exactly because it spread through the Blender community. Like we are part of the Blender community. Everyone that we know is in the Blender community. Our circle is the Blender community. So when we shared it on Twitter and everyone retweeted it, it was mostly getting pretty stuck within the Blender community. So a lot of people just ended up assuming that you needed to do it with Blender, and it became this thing. Oh, it's this Blender event. And while yeah, it was huge in the Blender community, it wasn't specifically about Blender. We never even mentioned Blender at all in any of the official Nodevember stuff. But so this year we wanted to really like emphasize that you can do whatever you want, and it's not even not Blender, it's not even computer graphics, it can be whatever you want that's node based. So we were like, yeah, make music, I don't know, like procedural music, it's a thing. And actually there is a guy who is making procedural sound effects, super cool. So yeah, we are seeing more different stuff, and yeah.
And so these things are, I mean, there's some really cool work done both on the, not just with music, but also like specifically with materials and geometry. How many people are also maybe, because it's I mean, it's almost like a library of stuff that people could use, right? I mean, some of them are very sort of, this is obviously made specifically for Nodevember, and you'd never use this outside of that.
Yeah. So you can do whatever you want with nodes and make practical materials, which is what nodes are usually used for with materials. But like the biggest thing is people creating really crazy, like abusing material nodes to 3D model basically by using vector displacements or ray marching or something in material nodes that you should never do if you're actually working on a serious project or sane. So people just create these huge node graphs that are completely unpractical for anything outside of bragging rights for Nodevember. So yeah, that's kind of what gets the most attention is these. Yeah, when people use vector displacement nodes, which is a really stupid way to 3D model, but a really impressive way if you want to show off.
So how many people are, in addition to showing the stuff that they make, how many people are also showing, like sharing either their node graphs or actually the files that they use to produce this stuff? How many, what percentage do you think maybe?
It's hard to say, but yeah, sometimes people ask for the file and usually people just provide the file, or I know that some people put them all in one place at the end of the month to share it all. So percentage wise, I don't know how many, but yeah, quite a few people. And yeah, we encourage everyone to share the at least a screenshot of the node tree to see what it kind of looks like.
I think that most people post a screenshot, not necessarily a readable screenshot because of the just sheer scale of the node trees that we get. But yeah, I would say that almost everyone posts some kind of screenshot or something. Now, Blender files, yeah, that's up to people, I guess, or well, blend files or whatever files, substance files, doesn't matter. But yeah, we see some people posting this stuff because the Blender community is very open, so it's all about sharing and everything. But I wouldn't say it's most people. I myself haven't shared yet, even though I want to, but I have some licensing stuff to figure out first. But yeah, no, it would be cool also to organize some kind of like platform to gather all this stuff at some point, which is definitely something we think about because we want to encourage sharing and everything. And so we have the Nodevember website. We want to also like grow it and make it really a platform to gather everything. So we want to make a gallery and then like user profiles and stuff like that. And perhaps for people who want to share their files, also have the files there together and everything. But that's more like long-term project, probably for next year. We're completely swamped right now with doing Nodevember itself.
Yeah.
So,
and something that would take longer than just 3 days of tossing it together.
yeah. Exactly.
Oh yeah, we were talking about what software people use, and Luca actually at the end of last year created this really cool statistical video with a breakdown of the different software used. And so it turns out that last year around 1,200 people used Blender and 280 people used Substance.
Well, entries, not people. So.
Oh yeah, entries. Yeah. And then 45 Unity entries, and then a couple of others for different software. But this year I think it's going to be a lot different because we have the Substance people on board. Also, Side Effects is on board and promoting it. Oh yeah, one of the cooler things is that this one guy who's developing this node shading app for iOS is participating. It's called Shade. What's it called? Shade?
Shade, yeah. It's just shade.to, the URL, the website.
And it's really cool because it's kind of has everything that shader nodes and other software have, but on iOS, which is
that's very cool.
Yeah,
and it's cool because it's the two guys developing this tiny software. Well, tiny. I mean, it's actually really powerful, but very specific. And it's just super cool to have these guys on board as well. And like we see entries from super niche stuff like that. And this year they're also advertising November. We got on the website, we got a bunch of, well, like Substance reached out to us this year to try to see, oh, maybe we should have one November only. And so they got on board with us advertising our November event instead of making their own. And so we got them, and we got, like Jonas said, Side Effects, and Shade also advertising it. Everyone made the articles about Nodevember and shared it. You can all see all of it on the Nodevember website as well, nodevember.io.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think we actually got around to saying the URL
Yeah.
for the website. So say that again, please.
Yeah, nodevember.io is, and there we have all the like links to the articles of everyone, also from Blender Nation, Experience Points, and GD Quest. Everyone's talking about Nodevember this year.
Yay! Well, I mean, we're all at home. So,
Yeah, that's a big plus.
Might as well break out the nodes and have some fun.
It's the perfect time. Yeah.
No, it was great this year. Germany actually, and I think a lot of other European countries started locking down everything again right when November started. I think they did that on purpose to give everyone more time to. I don't know. Yeah, is there anything else going on that could warrant a lockdown? I think it's November.
No, it's definitely November. Yeah.
I mean, it could be NaNoWriMo, but really, it's probably November.
It's November.
And hold on, one thing we also didn't mention is where you guys are located. Jonas, you said you're in Germany, and Luca, you're in the Netherlands, or?
I am in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. Yeah.
Cool. Just wanted to make sure and actually, well, since we did we had our introductions, now we know where everyone's from, but
Oh, we don't know where you're from. You're from Atlanta, right?
I'm living outside of Atlanta. Yeah, okay. So that's that. But I mean, I say that, I think, in the intro, maybe.
It's an interesting place now, huh?
I mean, it's
in the news.
It's in the news. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. You don't want to talk about it.
Atlanta is never actually in the news for good reasons. I can't
well,
think of anything.
I mean,
oh wow, Atlanta is in the news for great reasons. It doesn't happen very frequently.
Well, this time, I mean, depending on your opinions, it's good.
It's just one of those things that if you're in the news at all and it's related to Atlanta, from a political standpoint, at this point, it doesn't even really matter. It's going to be chaos, and that's just the way things happen.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
So that's why we have Nodevember and things like that to focus our energies and stuff that actually is important.
Exactly.
But what I was getting at is that we've we had the introduction. We did talk about a little bit November, but I do also want to talk about you guys and just outside of November, because you're not doing Nodevember year round. I mean, you put the website last year on 3 days. So obviously the other 362 days of the year, you're doing something.
And that's when we sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Because during November, there is no sleep.
Yeah.
Absolutely none.
Sleep.
No sleep November, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when you're not sleeping and when you're not Nodevember ringing, so we'll start with Jonas. What do you do every day?
It's a very good question. I asked myself that a lot too. Well, right now I'm I guess I'm a freelance 3D artist / programmer, and I'm working on dental software actually right now with Patrick Moore. I don't know if you probably met him last year at the Blender conference.
Oh, he did a really cool talk on that. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'm working on with Cookie Cutter, which is this really cool UI framework for Blender add-ons made by CG Cookie by John Denning. So yeah, that's a project I'm working on right now, which is really fun. And yeah, yes, other projects too here and there, whenever I can get my hands on. Yeah, I can't think of anything else right now.
We have more time. If something comes up, you can just announce it. It's fine.
Yeah. How about you, Luca?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm primarily a software developer. I worked some time at Blender and then at Tangent on the next gen project. But recently, I was working as a VFX artist at a small VFX house here in Amsterdam. And but now I am working on a procedural shading course for Creative Shrimp.
Nice.
So very appropriate for the Nodevember vibes. So yeah, I mean that's me right now. So we'll see. Don't have a date yet, a release date. Especially now, it like slowed down absurdly because of Nodevember. With all the stuff on Nodevember, the course is I'm making very little progress on it right now. But hopefully soon I will be able to get back on it and release it as soon as possible.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then I hope to do more software stuff, including node-based software stuff.
Nice.
So
Ooh.
A lot of, I mean, again, because this was, I mean, Nodevember is you know, we're encompassing a lot of different software packages now, we're talking closed source and open source and all of that. But you know, it was born in the Blender community. It was born at Blender conference. So I do want to sort of talk a little bit about, you know, your history. When did you start using Blender, and you know, why do you keep using it?
That's a very good question.
Jonas?
Yeah, I started using Blender when I was, I think, 10 years old. So I was making little 2D animations with Microsoft Paint and Windows Movie Maker, and and I always wanted to make like 3D animations. And my mom heard about this software called Blender. I think like on the radio she heard about it.
Wow.
So then I downloaded it on like whatever shitty computer I had at the time, and just started, you know, making my way through the software with tutorials and Googling stuff, and started making little short films, and kept working on that until Nodevember. That's how we measure time before and after Nodevember.
Perfect. What about you, Luca?
Yeah, well, I started with Blender around 2009, 2010, so like a decade ago now, I guess.
Yeah, that's when I started.
Around the same time as Jonas, yeah. Although we didn't know each other at the time. So. I was living in Brazil in those days, so it was a totally different reality. And yeah, I mean, I started with it. It was the classical because it's free thing. It's the same story as everyone. I started because it's free, and I stayed because it's awesome. And yeah, I mean, later I tried other 3D software, and nothing really compared to the how easy and efficient it is to work in Blender. And I really like the shortcut based workflow and everything. So, but yeah, I mean, when I started, it was still in the 2.49b days, just before 2.5. So I got in time for the good old days still. And those were still the days when the ubiquitous first tutorial was the gingerbread man, not the donuts. So
yes.
So
that's from the new kids. That's
yeah. Oh, donuts! No, we got a gingerbread man.
We grew up with gingerbread man and snowmen.
Gingerbread man, snowman, roller coaster animation.
Ooh, curves. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's and then I just stuck with it because it's just so awesome, and then the more I worked with it, the more I also went to contribute. First, I started doing some like add-ons and stuff. Then I went to do the more like core development stuff because I was working on a short animation. And I needed cloth sim. It was a cartoony thing. I needed cartoony control of the cloth sim, which didn't exist. So I went and implemented that. Then I never made the short film because that's how it goes. I think pretty much every Blender developer started being a Blender developer because they needed some feature. Then they went to do development and never went back to their projects to actually do them.
And that's actually one of the things that like. I think that can't be stated enough, because when you look in like user forums and whatnot, there's still this sort of misconception of like an us versus them, where these are developers and they don't know how artists think, and these are the artists and they can never be developers. It ain't like that, right? I mean, almost every Blender developer started as an artist that needed a feature that wasn't there, and then they just got like, well, I kind of like this code thing. We keep doing that.
That's true. That's probably especially true for Blender, right? Because it's so open and everyone can just code on it. And so if you have a problem, you can just do it yourself. You can fix it yourself and learn to code.
Yeah. I mean, and you really can. And the other thing is that I was just having this conversation yesterday. You also get to see like people who you look at as like really, really talented developers. And you get to see that guy's a talented developer, but he's or she is struggling, and that solution didn't work. Oh crap! Well, that solution didn't work. And you see the commits of like, well, that one failed. That one failed. Oh, this I can pull at this thread a little bit and see where it goes. And I think that's having that window into, it's not I made this thing and poof, Instagram style. It's beautiful at the end of the day, and you never see all the struggle that went into actually making it. All of that is laid out in the open, and I think there's something very accessible about that.
Yeah. This thing about well, if you have a missing feature, just go and implement it. This mindset reminds me that like a few days ago, I got this really funny thing where I got a notification that there was a reply to my thread on Blender artists. And I was like, oh, I haven't been there in years, actually. Sorry. And then I went to check it out, and it was a guy giving me a solution to my problem. I needed some like cloth sim thing, and he was saying, "Oh, you can do it with the surface deform modifier." He was replying to a thread that I opened 6 years ago. After which I went and implemented the surface deform modifier, which didn't exist at the time that I asked that. And later the guy came to reply that I could use my own feature to fix my problem. So that was really funny.
That's fantastic. Oh, I like that. That's going to get quoted somewhere, I'm sure. That's awesome. Well, cool. I think we're wrapping close to up. Those are words. But is there anything that I haven't talked about or covered that you feel that I missed out on and we should talk more about for sure? Or have I done a phenomenal job?
You've done a phenomenal.
Definitely.
Perfect.
A+.
Yay!
Is there anything you want to talk about?
Oh, I mean, I could talk about this stuff forever, which is why I have a podcast. So
Good point. Yeah.
But I will ask, so we already know about Nodevember.io as the website to go to for all things Nodevember, not just seeing the prompt list, but also apparently t-shirts like the ones Jonas is wearing right there. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Well, you might have to talk for it to switch, but Jonas is wearing a really cool t-shirt. So if you're watching video, you should check it out. If you're not watching video, go to the website and you can get that there. And apparently there's a coffee mug too that I heard about. So
and stickers, which are new.
Oh, and stickers.
Yeah.
There are things.
Pins.
So there is Nodevember.io, but where else can we find out about Nodevember as well as you fair folk?
So on Twitter and on Instagram now, which we're running actively, it's Nodevember.io. So
without the dot.
Without the dot. So Nodevember.io everywhere. Yeah. That's where you can find everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, just on the website, just Nodevember.io, and it has all the social media links and everything.
Yeah. Cool.
You can also find our links there. So
Yeah. So if you want to follow us, which you should, that's there.
For the excellent things that's going on outside of the month of November, there are other excellent things that you two are doing. So it's really worth following you on the various social media outlets.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or not if you don't want, that's also fine.
But you definitely should.
I follow both of you, and I think it's worth. I'm pretty sure I follow both of you. Yes, I follow both of you. And
I also follow you, by the way. So
awesome, fantastic. Well, cool. Thank you so much for agreeing to be part of the show and talking about Nodevember, and hopefully, the handful of people that listen and watch will be joining in, and because it's only right now as we're recording this, it's November 7th. I'll probably be publishing this later in the week, but it's not too late to get started. The prompt list is up. You can catch up and have a lot of fun.
And you can do however much you want. You don't have to do the whole thing. You can do just a few that you find interesting or whatever. It's just all about making procedural stuff and just having fun. So don't worry about if you can't do them all or whatever. Just do some cool stuff.
Yeah, it's not a contest. It's just about showing up and being awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just or not even awesome. You don't even have to be awesome. It's even easier. The bar is lower.
As far as I'm concerned, showing up is like the prerequisite for being awesome. If you show up, you're pretty much there.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, that's right. All entries are awesome by that definition.
Perfect.
Exactly.
By the way, is that a Suzanne plaque on your wall there?
That is a the plaque on my wall is actually a plaque of a patent that got filed that happened to involve Suzanne being in the documentation for it, and I was involved with that patent.
Oh, cool!
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew the patent though, but I didn't know that it was your thing.
Yeah. I'm named as one of the co-creators on that, and so that's why I got the plaque. But yeah, nice. Suzanne was our test monkey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. And they put it on the plaque.
And they put it's one of the pages from the actual patent application. So yeah, that was
nice,
pretty fun.
Cool.
So yeah, if you're on the audio only, you should go check the video out and see that thing right there.
You can see the Suzanne flag.
Perfect. Again, thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you throughout the rest of this month, and then Nodevember beyond.
Yep. Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's the episode. Huge thanks to Jonas and Luca for agreeing to come on and talk about this really fantastic event. As I said, showing up, as actually what we all said, showing up is enough to count as being awesome. So go on your social media platform of choice, or come into the comments of this website or the website for the show. Go on to Blender Artist Forums. Go wherever you go and show off some of your Nodie goodness and be part of all of that. I think that'd be great. And yeah, definitely check out this other stuff. The stuff that other people are doing in Nodevember. There's some really, really inspiring work. As crazy as some of it might be, it's really inspiring to look at and really think about how to use tools in ways you wouldn't necessarily have expected to use them initially. And it's just a lot of the fun of that. So check that out and definitely see some of the stuff that Jonas and Luca are doing on their own time as well, because they're phenomenal people. But what have you made with node-based tools? Share them with me. I'd love to hear it. Just let me know. You can comment in this episode 52, right on opensourcecreative.org, and let us know what's going on there with what you're doing. And as always, you can also track me down on your favorite social media site. Just look for Monster Java Guns. That's me. And you can tell me what you think there. I also have an email newsletter. Just signing up for that is as easily as going to the contact page at opensourcecreative.org. And like I say, clickety-clacking away and giving some new information so I can send you emails, which I have to get around to doing more regularly. But hey, I'm getting around to doing the show more regularly, so maybe that'll happen too. Yay! In any case, I think that's about it. It's time to get to work.
I can't take off or fire the gun, and they're coming for me now.
And this is the last job.
All right.
Sorry.
It's hard not to laugh.
Your dancing doesn't help.
Perfect. Of course, the dancing doesn't help. It's designed not to help.